Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering conversations, have exclusive and inspirational interviews, and host special events. Join Tammy, some call her Butterfly, and explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly. It's time, no matter what season it is.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Let's come on in to the barbecue. Daily Motivations for African American Success, where we've been journaling through Dennis Kimbro's book. My book is awful. 265 days, I believe, is where we are. Miss and my beautiful Auntie Richetta is in the house. She says, good morning, Butterfly and Nephew. I believe Nephew will be on with us this morning. And she says, good morning to everyone. So thank you guys for joining us. Come on in. Let me know you're in. And you must groove to feeding the ducks. That is a representative of us doing life, not life doing us. As I like to say, is pimping you or you win the pimping. You feeding the ducks or the ducks feeding you. So come on in. Miss Brenda Davis says, good everything, everyone. Oh my gosh, it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, she says. So thank you. Let's get this. Let's send these ducks back to kind of listen to us as well. Let's bring Brandon on in. Good morning, B. How is it going?
Good morning, Mama. Going good. How you doing, sweetie?
Good. You gonna groove a little bit?
A little bit. I just woke up, so I'm fresh. The ducks got to feed me this morning.
Ducks got to feed you this morning. All right, you guys. Well, let's see. Doing good. Big Mike is in the house. He says, good morning, everyone, as well. So there we go. Mike, I hope you got to groove on in with us. So, Brandon, how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, I just woke up. I woke up thinking I was still at the cabin. I woke up like, I got something to do. And then I looked at the clock. I was like, oh, I got the show this morning. Let me hop on. So I'm doing well. Fresh out of dream world.
There you go. Cousin Monique says, good morning. So thank you guys for rocking in with us. Y'all come on in and I hope I just got to get this out because Brandon, while you were out, we had a prayer request come in. So y'all just want to be mindful and ask you guys to just make sure that you are praying, or honoring that prayer request that we got from Patrick for a job. And he comes in now, every now and then out of California, I learned. So he's praying for a job that's closer to home and that provides for him a bit more. So, y'all, I think that's the first prayer request that we've gotten like that online, I think. I believe. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But yep, he put in a prayer request right online for us he has a prayer request for that. So y'all, throughout your day, just throw it out there, put it out there before God. All right. Let's be intentional about that. Over to you, Brandon. I'm ready to get going.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody and good morning to the In the Season podcast. Thank you to that person for the prayer request. That's important, and maybe others can follow suit. So if you got a prayer request or something that you need some extra prayer for, you want some people that can pray for you or pray with you, then let us know in the comments, in the chat, or DM us directly. So we are reading through Daily Motivations for African American Success, a book by Dennis Kimbro. This is the book right here, if you can see it. We have been going through this for about 260 plus days.
65
days. So thank y'all for rocking with us from our day ones to our newcomers, and hope you guys stay. and keep coming and listening. There's some good stuff inside this book. A little bit more about it. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, the author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. What it teaches will last you a lifetime. So thank y'all again for joining us, and let's see what we got for today. Anything else from you, Mom, before we jump into it?
No, we're all good. All good.
All good on this side. So on today, October 23rd, the title is The Last Word. And Benjamin E. Mays, who's an educator.
Wait.
Oh,
we're not there. Getting over.
Yeah.
Getting over.
Are we still doing one behind? Okay. Gotcha. That throws me off. That just, Well, today.
I'll have to catch up for you.
Yeah. Y'all gonna have to catch up for me, man. I don't ask for much, but y'all gonna have to catch up for me. And we don't have to do two in a day one day. But we'll do the day before. It's called Getting Over. And Lena Horne, the singer, said, "It's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it." Again, it's not the load that breaks you down. It's the way you carry it. An overburdened and overworked ant was told to carry a piece of straw across a large slab of concrete. The straw was so long and heavy that the tiny insect staggered beneath its weight. Nonetheless, the ant was committed to completing its task. Finally, as the stress of its burden began to take its toll, the little creature was brought to a halt by a gaping crack in its path. The ant saw no way of getting across or around the deep divide. Then a thought suddenly struck. Carefully laying the straw across the gulf, the ant walked over it and safely reached the other side. The ant's heavy load had become a helpful bridge because he was committed to his task. The preceding story is one of commitment. Commitment is a key ingredient in the success of any endeavor. Both husband and wife must be committed to each other in order to develop a happy marriage. The successful salesman must be committed to his product. If we're committed, we will always find a way out, a way to move ahead, even if we're sidetracked or temporarily delayed. The simple value of commitment is that life works better when you do what you say you're going to do. Living up to your word will bring you great inner strength. And our affirmation for today at the bottom of the passage is, because I am committed to my goals, my burdens can be overcome. One more time, because I am committed to my goals, my burdens can be overcome. Over to you, Mama.
I like this one, Brandon. It's short, but sweet. Brings us right back to goals. If y'all haven't realized or recognized that goals appear quite a bit in our affirmation. Brandon, have you noticed that?
Actually, I have.
Yeah.
It's goal setting.
Right. Goal setting. Very important to have those goals, have them written down. Getting over, right? But our quote says, not the load that breaks you down, not the load that breaks us down. It's the way you carry it, right? Not the load. And that's why it's so important when we say, it's not what you go through, is if you choose to grow through it. It's how you do it, how you do life, how you do your burdens. And this passage starts out an overburdened and overworked ant. So this ant was already overburdened, overworked, but he was told to carry a piece of straw across a large slab of concrete. Already overworked, already overburdened. Does that speak to you? Because I know I feel today like I'm overburdened, overworked right now. I feel it. But still I get up and I walk forward, I walk toward. Let's look at the definition of committed, loyal and willing to give your time and energy to something that you believe in. Right? Having promised to be involved in a plan of action. This is a promise to yourself as we talk about your true goals. Your true goals, not someone else's. Right? And then the ant gets to a cross point, I guess. What do I do now? And then the burden that he was carrying was the same burden that helped him to get over and through and to continue. Why? Because it grows us, right? And if you're committed to the goal, to the destination, right? And you'll find a way. You'll find a way, but you will keep going. As we talked about yesterday to the Today Show, you will keep going because you never know which key unlocks the safe. You never know which day will be the day that will become your Today Show, right? So getting over, right? Can we learn to not get under our problems, to get over them? Our distractions, get over them. Walk through them. Lay your burdens down and use them to cross over to them. I love this little one, Brandon. I love, there's a quote that says, don't make an anthill a mountain. You remember that quote, Brandon?
Yeah, don't make a foothill or an anthill a mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one of my professors told me that in college. And it stuck with me all these years, right? And sometimes we do. And when we do that, it stops us, right? We don't get over. We sometimes get back and we go back to business as usual, thinking, I can't do this. I'm already burdened. I'm already overworked. I'm already tired. I've already been down this road. Hey, but they may have some new construction on the road. You may be able to travel it now, right? So over to you, Brandon. I like it. It's short. It's sweet. I love the fact that it brings about marriage into it. I thought that was interesting. It says both husband and wife must be committed to each other. There's that word, committed to each other, in order to develop a happy marriage. That was a throw in to me, but goes back to sometimes we always throw in relationship in our conversations. And it goes, the successful salesman must be committed to his product. Another one that I can relate to. If we're committed, we will always find a way out, a way to move ahead, even if we're sidetracked or temporarily delayed. You'll always find a way out. Do you? Go back. Do you have goals? Are they written? Are they plain to you? And then are you committed? And what does that action look like on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like? Over to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. And yeah, I agree. This is a pretty direct and to the point one, but commitment can be, it's a simple word, but it's I won't say it's always simple to be this word, to exude this characteristic, because commitment, I went ahead and looked it up just to define it. It's the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity, etc. Or in business, it's an engagement or obligation that restricts freedom of action. Not freedom of action because something else restricts you, but because you made a decision to stay in your lane or stay in a particular lane, right? And show up. So commitment is kind of a loaded word to me because it involves patience. It involves perseverance, right? It involves some type of vision, right? You have to have a goal of something in the future, like you were speaking of, Mom, something that hasn't come into fruition yet. It takes time, right? Of course, that's a factor of patience. You know, patience isn't everything instant. And this patience is, like I said, a persevering patience, a type of patience that doesn't let up on the strength as you continue. You know, some people can say, you know, I'm patient, but they get, you know, lackluster, right? They get lackluster in their commitment. So you might not show up to practice in the same way. You might, you know, you might wake up right before the show, right? I'm serious. But commitment is you still waking up and being there, still doing it, still going after it. If you're committed to a relationship, then it's, you know, I actually spoke to my friend Jeremy last night, Mom. He helped me drain my elbow.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, he's been married a couple years now. And, you know, I remember when he was a bachelor, right? Or he had 2 kids, but was a bachelor. And we were discussing, like, man, you know, like, how is it? Because he's pretty much adopted two kids, has, I think, a stepchild, and then 2 or 3 of his own. And he said he loves it. He said he loves it. And even inside of the relationship, said he knew his now wife for 3 months before they got married. And they've been together for years now. I think 6 or 8 years or something like that. So, you know, we were talking about how marriages seem to work out better when people meet, figure out if they like each other, and they go ahead and get married. And how, you know, according to society, according to the West, you know, Western culture, that can be a big no-no. Right? No, you gotta sit there and date them for 2 years and move in with them and all these, and that's not only is it against our faith traditions, but it's also against science, right? So you have every reason, especially in these times. There's so many distractions. There's so many reasons to jump off of that train, right? But the difference that Jeremy said, he said we would have probably, you know, broken up countless times had we not committed in holy matrimony. Had we not said, I'm committed to you, said I do in front of our family, said I do publicly, right? I do what? I do commit myself to you. And so it's easier to not go to a class that you haven't signed up for, that you hadn't put your name on. Like, oh, I'm just a guest in this class. I'm just stopping in to, you know, learn about it from a surface level. You don't even concentrate in the same way because you're not getting a grade for it, right? Or at least you don't feel like you are. But truly, God is always watching, right? Whether you put your name on the dotted line or you internally have prescribed to a faith tradition. In either way, by putting your name on that line, by committing yourself to that other person, by committing yourself to your faith, by committing yourself to that mortgage, by committing yourself, you are up to bat and you have a responsibility and a duty and an obligation to fulfill. And I think that is the weight sometimes that breaks people. That's the part of the burden that breaks people sometimes. If you allow it to. But in most cases, from what I've seen on things like marriage, on school, on whatever, if someone puts their name to it, now they have that extra oomph. They have that extra, no, well, I put my word, I said, or I gave you my word. You remember when and I'm just, you know, 30 something years old, but it seems like people's word used to go a lot further than it does today. Right? If someone said they were going to do a job, they were there and they did it. Right? It wasn't so discounted. right? There wasn't a revolving door so much at places of work, right? Where there's a new team seemingly every other week, every 2 weeks, every month, every 2 months. So when you put your name to something, there's that extra call of, well, my name is on it, right? I have to be committed to it. And I said this on an earlier show. As a man, as a Black man, I understand that there's going to be burdens that I have to carry. Some that are fair, some that aren't fair. Not only do I understand that, but I understand that at times I have moments of weakness. So, but even in that, I ask God for bigger shoulders, not a lighter burden. Because God knows best that there was a reason for me to have this weight on my shoulders. There's a reason for me to carry it. There's a reason for that ant to carry that straw. They were going to break it down and feed the children in the rest of the ant pile. And if he doesn't, then that's the food for, maybe a couple hundred ants. So who's leaning on us? What's at stake here? Commitments are usually things that aren't light, but have some type of implication at another time. So where if you don't complete it, if you don't stay committed to it, something falls by the wayside, right? So don't turn foothills into mountains, but also if you have a mountain, make sure, and it's your mountain, make sure that you climb it and realize and have the faith that something is on the other side, right? And mountains are interesting. I read something at Shelby Forest today or yesterday. It was written by Ed Neiman, who I think is the founder of that place. He was a journalist. And he said, God is like a mountain, right? God is like a mountain. Some people see it from the valleys. Some people see it from the peaks. Someone sees it from afar. Someone sees it up close. Someone sees the side with all the grass on it. And someone sees the side with a bunch of rocks sliding and falling down. But it's still the same mountain. No matter what vantage point you see it from, it's still the same mountain. So, like God, you might have this faith or that faith, but who's to say that it's not the same mountain? Who's to say that it's not the same God? And there might be multiple paths to get to that mountain. I would just add that make sure your path is as straight as possible. Because the goal isn't to be perfect, but the goal is to traverse that mountain. So I think commitments, burdens, and things are similar. We all have our mountain to climb, but take some pride in that mountain being yours. And would the story be better without it? Would the life experience be better without it? Because for me, and I can just speak for myself, once I overcome something, what does it say? It adds to my life. Right? Living up to your word will bring you a great inner strength. The simple value of commitment is that life works better when you do what you say you're going to do. And remember, the biggest lies that we tell are the ones that we tell to ourselves, right? So how many times have you potentially lied to yourself and said that I'm going to get up and work out every day? I'm going to write my book today. I'm going to clean up the garage today. Talking to myself. How many times have we said that we're going to do these things to ourselves? Maybe not to anyone else. Ooh. Because we only said it to ourselves. And we didn't tell anybody else. We say, well, I'm going to let myself get past. I'll do it tomorrow or the next day. But a way to build up inner strength is keeping that secret between you, yourself, and God and completing it and building that inner strength of consistency. Right? So commitment is consistency. Commitment is perseverance. Commitment is patience. Right? Commitment is diligence. Commitment is being careful to protect the work you've already done. So a lot goes into it, but even more comes out of it. Right? They say you get out what you put in, but when you stay committed to certain things, like a marriage, you stay committed to a marriage, You give your wife a house, she makes it a home, right? You bring her food, she gives you a meal. You see what I'm saying? You give her some love, and she might give you some children. You know what I mean? So commitment, specifically those with your partner, specifically with a woman, multiplies what you put in. So there are reasons. That's the motivation. That's the encouragement to stay committed, to show up every day that you said that you would. And like we've said before on the show, you might not be at 100%, but give what you have to give. You might wake up that morning and say, man, I only got 80%. Well, give 100% of that 80% to whatever you have said whatever you've committed yourself to. Moving the ball, 1 yard down the field is better than a sack. It's better than a 5-yard penalty for not getting to the line on time. You know what I mean? So stay committed, persevere. Don't complain about the weight on your shoulders, because there's someone else that is better than you that has more weight on their shoulders. So ask for the strength and for the strength and the wherewithal to stay committed, and give it over to God. Say, God, I know this might seem to me a task that I can't complete, but who else? How many examples do we have in our faith traditions of the burden of prophecy, or the burden of a task that God has put them on? So stay on the track, stay on the road, stay committed, and know that in this case, on commitments, on good commitments toward that mountain of God, that whether it be your family, your career, and making a good living so that your provisions can be given to those under your care and responsibility, those always have more out than what you put in. So multiply your life, your quality of life, your quality and character of self, by staying committed, keeping your word, and getting over it. And the main way you get over it is to get over yourself. A lot of times, your biggest mountain, your biggest obstacle is yourself. So get over yourself, and then get over your mountain. That's all I got.
So just a couple of things, Brandon. You mentioned Jeremy. I remember seeing him a couple of weeks ago. He and his wife, I see them a lot on Facebook, but I've never met her until a few weeks ago. And I could see the commitment from both of them. You just knew it was there. And I shared with her, I don't know her or a lot about her, but I shared with her, I said, you have a really good guy. Like the first time I met Jeremy, Brandon, I don't know if you remember, was at your fight at Minglewood Hall. I think that's the name of it.
It had to be 10 years ago.
That was so long ago. And it was as if I had known him forever. Like you just know, there's some people you meet and you just know their heart, right? And so I shared with her and she said, I know. She said, I know he is a great guy. And to hear a wife say that and to really know that she means that, right? She said, I know, right? And committed to what? Like, let's take marriage for as an example. Sometimes people get married and they understand marriage and the commitment that comes with that. And then some people have a wedding. If y'all hear me now, some people have a wedding for some more people. Right? They don't get married for the commitment, for the understanding, for wanting to be committed in such a way to have a family, if that's what they choose to do, right? They've gone a little bit further into what is it. That's why they were able to meet 3 months and get an understanding. Hey, we both on the same path here. Some people will date 5, 6, 7, 8 years, get married, and a year later, it's over. Some people will get married in a week, and 50 years later, they're still married. Why? Because there's a commitment. And there's some people that just stay and do do life however they do it, never truly really committed to each other. And when you see that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was clear as night and day of this couple that this young man that Brandon mentioned when I got to see them a few weeks ago, that they were both committed to the same thing. To the same thing. So what are you committed to? Do you know what you're committed to? It says, the straw was so long and heavy that the tiny insect staggered beneath its weight. How many times have you gone through and you felt this is too big for me? I'm carrying something that's way too big for me, but never too big for God, you guys. Never too big for God. Never. And so it goes on to say, nonetheless, the ant was committed to completing its task. Finally, as the stress of the burden began to take its toll, the little creature was brought to a halt by a gaping crack in its path. When God knows it's too big for you, that you're really beneath your weight, He will put something before you that will allow you to rest or see that He's there. You're not carrying this alone. You may feel like you're staggering beneath your weight, but it's never beneath my weight, my child, my son, my daughter. And that's where I come in with, God, while I don't understand, I trust you, and I'm going to keep on going. Underneath my weight, underneath whatever, I'm going to keep on going. Because today, as yesterday talked about, may be the today show, may be your day. May be the day that you get to the top of that mountain and you see why you had to carry the straw that was way bigger than you. That you got when you were already overburdened and overworked. When you felt that way. Because sometimes the way we feel ain't the way it is. Right? So what are you committed to? Is it your true goals? Is it something that you are committed to because you understand the commitment? Or did the world just get you caught up? Like Brandon say, some people just want they want a wedding, not a marriage. They want to spend $1 million, not make $1 million. So you have to understand and make sure that you're not tricked into a commitment. Right? Brandon spoke to me on some things. He's, you'll say you do this, but you get distracted into other things. So are you truly committed to your true goals? And what does that look like? What does the action behind that look like? Have you taken some of the straw out and just kind of, hey, this is too much. I'm going to put it over here. I might come back and get it. Right? So let's be very mindful. Are we getting over? Right? And how are you carrying the load? How are you carrying it? Are you still carrying it? Right? So again, it's not the load that breaks you. It's not the load. It's the way you carry it. Check your load, but check what you're carrying it in, how you're carrying it in. Big faith, little faith, no faith. Right? Fear, no fear. Carrying it like today might be the day. So I'm going to keep on carrying it. All right. So over to you, Brandon, as we get ready to bring it to a close. I did put out happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. What you think, what you say, right? And what you do. And might I add, and how you do it, how you carry it. Right? So happiness, y'all remember that today, is when what you think, take those thoughts captive, measure them. What you say and what you do are in harmony. Right? So I've decided, I haven't even shared this with Brandon, but November is going to be my month of silence for me. No over talking, no over meeting, no meaningless conversations. I will only talk about and do what I must. The rest of it is going to be me and God. So if you call me in November, you probably won't get me unless it's truly an emergency. And then I'm going to ask you, have you called 911? So, Brandon, now that laugh was something else. Oh my gosh. So,
But you said, I'm asking if you called 911. Like, why you coming to me? No, I get it. I get it. I get it.
no, really, I'm at that point where I need it. I need it. I know that I need it, right? So,
Right.
so hey, I think we talked about that a few days ago. That you guys, you remember that when what um, you are your companion. Yeah, we are our. It was growing a tail. We are our constant companion, and we know better than anyone else what is good for us and what we want and what we need. Brandon, you were out that day, but yeah, we are. That was growing a tail. October 20th. We are our constant companion, and we know better than anyone else what is good for us and what we want and what we need. And I truly believe that we do, whether we admit it or not. We know whether we adhere to it or not. We know. So over to you, Brandon, as we get ready to get on out of here.
All right. Sounds good. Well, y'all, thank y'all so much for rocking with us again. From our new ones to our new ones. Please invite somebody to come and enjoy the show as we come to the close of October this upcoming week. Let us know if there's any prayer requests. I really appreciated whoever contacted you, Mom, and said that they needed a prayer request. I will be thinking about them and them getting a job closer to home. But for everyone else, don't hide those prayer requests. If you got them, let them out. You know, wherever more than one are, that can be us. So the more prayers in the direction, the more chances I think that you have of being successful in it, or of God giving you something even better. Remember, in my opinion, every prayer is answered by God. It's just not answered in the way that you want. Sometimes God knows, all the time, God knows what's best for you. So let's keep that in mind as we pray. But today's title is Getting Over. And our quote again was from Lena Horne, who said, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it." And our affirmation that we keep with us today, other than what happiness is, what my mother said, which I'm gonna add that one to my day as well. It's what you say, what you do, and what was the other one, Mom? What you think, what you say, what you do
Right.
are in. Got you. But our affirmation today from the book is, because I am committed to my goals, my burdens can be overcome. Again, because I am committed to my goals, there's that word again, my burdens can be overcome. What's your burden? But what's your commitment? Make sure your commitment is greater than your burden. And we'll see you on the other side. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Love you. Get those ducks fed. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place on In the Season Podcast. Peace.